Mr. President, distinguished delegates, it is for me a great honor and a privilege to address to this August Assembly in my capacity both as the current chairman of the Organization of African Unity and also as head of state of the Somali Democratic Republic. The evil forces of colonialism and racism still remain to be most pressing problem facing both the Organization of African Unity and the United Nations. The struggle against colonialism and racism, discriminations in southern Africa and elsewhere has long presented a challenge to all men of goodwill. The major initiative taken by the African members of the United Nations in keeping this issue before the consciousness of the world has been an important factor in establishing their prominence in international affairs. But the campaign against the colonialism and racism discrimination is a world responsibility, not just as an African responsibility. For the evils which the campaign seeks to eliminate run counter to basic principle of the Charter of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The dramatic development in situations in Southern Africa brought about by the change of government of Portugal should elicit the support and the sympathy of the world community. These developments have opened the way for extensive progress to be made towards the fulfillment of the long-standing goals of the World Organization in its pursuit of peace, justice, and freedom. The leaders of the new Portuguese regime are to be congratulated for realizing the futility of colonial war, in recognizing the sovereignty of Guinea-Bissau, full and orderly independence for Mozambique in June 1975. In the case of Zimbabwe, the genuine political representative of the people are either imprisoned. The illegality of Israel's occupation of Arab territory is compounded by her active promotion of permanent Israel settlements on the Golan Heights, the West Bank of Jordan, in the Gaza Strip, and the Sinai Peninsula. In a policy of open expansionism, more settlements of Israel have been established on occupied Arab territories since 1967 than in Israel itself. Israel has also made no secret of its intention to annex Jerusalem and to alter the demographic and the Arab character of city. But
Ladies and gentlemen, we meet again in the quest for peace.
There's many who doubted that agreement could ever be reached by these 50 countries, differing so much in race and religion, in language and culture.
They even helped to carry the desks in.
We stand today at the threshold of a great event, both in the life of the United Nations and in the life of mankind. This Universal Declaration of Human Rights may well become the international Magna Carta of all men everywhere.
In order to eliminate the threat to the peace in Palestine, an armistice shall be established in all sectors.
An armistice agreement has been entered into between the United Nations Command and the commanders of the communist forces in Korea.
For the first time in the world's history, a permanent international body to deal exclusively with the problems of non-self-governing peoples.
We will be even prouder when we can leave the Congo solely and fully in the good hands of its own people.
Dag Hammarskjöld is dead, but the United Nations lives.
We've seen a return to democracy in many countries.
I hereby certify that the electoral process in Namibia has been free and fair.
With the problems of non-self-governing peoples.
We will be even prouder when we can leave the Congo solely and fully in the good hands of its own people.
Dag Hammarskjöld is dead, but the United Nations lives.
We've seen a return to democracy in many countries.
I hereby certify that the electoral process in Namibia has been free and fair.
To the success of the election of the Haitian people, they decided to come out and to vote and decide on their own destiny.
The people of Mozambique, who once again proved their commitment to democracy and a strong will to live in peace and harmony.
The Treaty for the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons. It is the most important international agreement in the field of disarmament since the nuclear age began.
We should not confuse the signing of agreements with the solving of problems.
Much work remains to be done, but the significant progress represents real successful diplomacy.
United Nations peacekeeping forces received the Nobel Peace Prize for 1988.
Peacekeeping operations symbolizes the world community's will to peace.
The creation of a UN peacekeeping force for Cyprus could only come about by positive action of this Council.
The protection of civilians is at the center of the United Nations peace and security agenda.
The first session of the International Tribunal for serious violations of international humanitarian law committed in the former Yugoslavia.
We have 113 trucks a day. At the same time, it is not like going through Fifth Avenue. We have to negotiate with checkpoints everywhere in order to make sure that we reach the people.
We're starting with no government, no civil services. Nothing remains in Somalia except some spirit and some hope.
I need your assistance so that I will be able to convince the member state to continue to offer the humanitarian assistance.
The right of life, the right to be free from torture and physical maltreatment, a lack of fair trial, limitations on freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of movement.
I am here to listen to you. I am here to learn. Tell me, frankly, how you believe the United Nations, myself and my colleagues can be helpful to you.
Minutes ago, an explosion ripped through a hotel in central Baghdad, the headquarters for the UN.
The UN and the international community here have been simply stunned by what's happened. Officials are saying they believe it was a suicide attack.
100 people are wounded and 22 killed.
Today we...
Democracy, which everybody is striving for, is really a rather meaningless phrase if people don't have enough to eat.
The international economic situation has become harsh and unfavorable for all developing countries, especially Africa.
Realizing every person's rights to food is a moral and humanitarian imperative. Hunger is a stain on humanity. We are working together as a movement to tackle hunger now and in the future.
The humanitarian case is clear. It will be the world's poorest citizens who will be hardest hit by climate change.
Every week we're seeing evidence that accelerated climate change is here right now. None of this is hysteria. It is fact.
And I'm beginning to wonder how many more alarm bells must go off before the world rises to the challenge. Only courageous leadership will make the goals of Paris a reality.
Behind every refugee, behind every migrant,
cabsi way jirtaa annagu hadda waxa weeye meesha aan joogno waxa waayo dad waxa jiraan cadowno ah anime 4 saac wixii annagu aan la tacaalno waa waxyaabihii ayaga ay abuurtaan oo ay samaystaan weeye cadow buu leeyahay marka qofka asaga ah waxa weeyo mar walba waxa kugu taagnaanayo in uu kugu soo maqan yahay.
Really, it's a constant problem. The mines really are living enemy. Mines will not die.
We had hand Dino uhelney martaas kulaheyn ayaan dua dhintaan anina
Often after conflicts in countries such as Somalia, there haven't really been detailed records kept of where the minefields are, where the battles have been. It takes somebody to start a systematic process going across the country and talking to communities, talking to the people who live there. With funding from Japan, we've been able to start the process of defining the scale of the problem in Somalia, defining the scale of the explosive hazards. Really, there has to be a Somali solution, and for us and the government, it was very obvious that the Somali police force was the answer. So we've worked for the past 5 years with the Somali police force to help them develop a capacity to train and equip them and mentor them in developing a bomb squad, which has turned out to be enormously successful. I mean, these guys, these young Somali guys primarily, have cleared a majority of the unexploded bombs from Mogadishu city. That's an epic achievement. That's a great achievement that Somalis can be extremely proud of.
waxaan u soo doortay dalkayaga maanta wuxuu ku jiraa burbur iyo dhibaato fara badan in marka experience aan noqdo khibradeeda aan yeeshto dabadeedna dalka iyo dadka aan ka badbaadiyo 18 sano ama 24 sano oo burburka ahayd dagaal ayaa socday dhibaatooyin badan baa dhacayay meenooyin baa dhulka la gelinayay kubaa la isku ridayay wixii ayaga inaan shacabka ka badbaadiyo aniga nafsadayda
Isku tiirsanada Ka turtaan